You are listening to Right Off the Bus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Right Off the Bus. It is Wednesday, October 20th. I'm Chandler Hutchison. That's Pat Mahoney, and we're here for episode number 43, Pat. You know who we got. The newly inducted Hall of Famer, Troy Polamalu. That's our number 43 this week, man. One of the best safeties ever. I can just still see in my mind him just diving over a full offensive and defensive line to make a sack. Just perfect timing on those plays. Unbelievable, man. Watching the hair, head and shoulders just flying above, man.
Yeah, I know now. Now it's the shampoo commercials, which honestly he's perfect for. But yeah, he was part of that steel curtain for so long. An absolute menace to the AFC North, and the Cardinals ripped to them in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. He absolutely. Yeah, dude. That was one of the best Super Bowls ever. What a game that was, man. But Pat, what you got going on this week, man? What's going on?
Not much. I had a golf tournament last weekend, and we were actually my team was the defending champions, but it was kind of because we had two kind of ringers in that in the last one. We had my old golf coach, and then our number one golfer from our team in high school. So caught up with them, had them on the team, and we won. Shot like 14 under in a scramble in that past year, but then this year it was just me and the buddies, and then we didn't do as hot. We did 3 under, which was nowhere near the winning spot, but it was still a good time. Good day to go out.
All that matters is that you had a good time, man.
Oh, absolutely. And then in some recent news, because we're New England, although I'm Western Mass, you're Eastern, for Western Mass, this matters to me because sports betting was legalized in Connecticut recently. And then today, which is October 19th, the day we're recording, the apps actually got launched. So like other sports betting sites, which the main one I use now is DraftKings. So I'm excited to use that for sports betting, but I can only use it when I'm in Connecticut because they track you. And then like once you cross over into Mass, it pretty much logs you out. So I can make bets and check bets like when I'm working because I work in Connecticut. So like I'd have to like go on lunch or like a break or something and do a bet, but I can't do it at home yet. Once I cross back into my home state, it logs me out.
That's unbelievable that it literally logs you out across state lines. Like that's pretty crazy.
It's coming though. It's coming to Mass soon. It's like MGM just opened like sports lounges. It's like no one's really going to go to those unless they can gamble, which is coming. And once Connecticut does something too, Massachusetts usually follows suit or vice versa.
It'll be here sooner rather than later, man. It's got to be. It's
absolutely.
Just a couple more dominoes to fall, I'm betting, man. That's
no
all.
doubt. No doubt. What do you got going on, Chandler?
Not too much, man, but I will say I got a wedding coming up this weekend that I'm excited for. Shout out to the Almost Begans. That's the last name. So Ryan and Brandy, shout out to them. Excited for that this weekend. Down in Hartford, so I'll be over towards your nook of the woods.
Yeah, you'll be real close.
And Ryan and I became friends through a lot of baseball. Pat went to Cooperstown with him. He's a big Yankees fan, so it is his big day. But I am going to be rubbing that wild card a little bit in his face. I got it just a little bit.
Absolutely, it's a big time for Sox fans.
It is, and not much going on other than that, Pat. But I will say before we get into these Sox and these headlines, man, we said it at the start and end of last episode, but we were on Joe Braverman's podcast this week, Let Me Speak. So everyone go check out that episode. We did some picks for this weekend of football and, did a little bit of a NBA preview with Joe, which was a lot of fun. So definitely check out Joe Braverman and Let Me Speak at Let Me Speak Official. But Pat, time to get into these Red Sox and these headlines, man. Red Sox are up 2-1 on the Astros in Boston for game 4 and 5, which is absolutely fantastic. It would be unbelievable if we could wrap this up at home, but
huge,
man. 2 grand slams in the same game against Houston. First team in MLB history to ever do that. It's been like 150 years of baseball. Schwarber hits another grand slam in game 3, dude. The Boston Bombers are back, baby. Yeah. This is incredible.
It's a good thing we're not having to rely on the pitching, that the offense is getting it done. Because if the offense can carry us like this, we will win a World Series if our offense performs like this, but our pitching is just so suspect. So it definitely balances out. But yeah, in Houston hitting 2 grand slams. I was pumped that the Sox did that because the night before it was a tough loss. We were up, and then Altuve hit a 2-run shot, and then Correa hit a home run, and Correa, checking the fake watch saying it's my time. I wasn't about that. Kike Hernandez did end up hitting a good shot after that, but it wasn't enough. We needed 2 runs, and it was another solo shot from him. So yeah, we came out of Houston splitting though, and it's definitely boding well. We got 2 more games at Fenway, just because I always forget like the MLB does things different than the NBA, or I don't even know about the NHL, but it's 2-3-2. So they did 2 in Houston, now they do 3 at Fenway, and then 2 back in Houston if necessary. We could win the next 2 at Fenway, which would be ideal, but we definitely got to win at least 2.
And it's always a complaint from the higher seed, man, because like you lose a game at home and then it's not a home series anymore. 3 games in Boston. When Boston has a win, that's not an advantage for the Astros by any means.
It's really not. Yeah, the 2-2-1-1-1 is so much better. I know it's more travel, but 2-3-2, just, you're right, it's not an advantage.
It's really not for that higher seed, man. But these Red Sox are so much fun. And Pat, I got to tell you, it looks like there's a chance we could win this World Series. The Braves are up on the Dodgers right now. These two younger teams, man. I'm loving every second of this MLB postseason, man. And we'll keep everyone updated because hopefully by this time next week, the Red Sox, the wild card Red Sox, will be in the World Series, man. That's the plan as of right now.
Yeah, I hope so, because Braves would be the ideal matchup, right? Like the Dodgers would be so tough. 106 wins, just beat the Giants who had 107 wins. And that would just be a tough series. And the Braves, they look like a magic team right now. 2 walk-offs in the first 2 games. Yep. Take a 2-0 lead over the Dodgers. So I can't say that it would be a better matchup, but I don't know. It just seems like it would be.
A lot of fun for baseball fans right now, man. It has been fantastic. Now, moving on to the NBA a little bit, Pat, just want to run through a couple contract extensions in these headlines. Malcolm Brogdon with the Pacers, 2-year, $45 million. Make that a 4-year deal in Indiana. I like that. Solid player there, man. Jaren Jackson, 4 years, 105 with the Grizzlies. Feels like a bit of an overpay, but this is a guy where we don't know what his ceiling is yet. And realistically, this is John Morant's number 2, right? So you kind of got to pay the man, I guess.
Yeah, the Grizzlies are testing things out too. They got a good roster together. It probably makes sense for them to take a shot.
Mikal Bridges, 4 years, 90 with the Suns. And obviously you see everything Bridges did with Phoenix, during their run to the finals and through those 6 games in the finals. But DeAndre Ayton still has yet to sign that extension. And the rumors are, Pat, he wants that Luka money. He wants that Trae Young money. DeAndre, you're fantastic. You're not getting that money. I wish Phoenix would pay him what he's worth, but it's a sticky situation in Phoenix, especially when you see the tune of $22.5 million going out to Bridges, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest story out of all these extensions is like that non-extension, because DeAndre Ayton's just sitting there watching his teammates get paid. He saw CP3 get the contract. He saw Mikal Bridges get the contract, and now the Suns are like, no, we don't got enough left over for you. Even though I was so high on him during that whole playoff run, even more so than Mikal Bridges, even though he might have came out of nowhere. DeAndre Ayton was just such a force at center. So I want them to pay him, but the max contract might be a little too much.
It would be a massive mistake if they did not pay DeAndre Ayton.
They need to get him something.
That would take them out of title contention if this guy isn't in the right headspace and not
100%.
Locked in for this upcoming season. And this is weighing on him when he sees all these other contracts, come down the pipeline, man. It's not a good look. And
I said on Joe's Let Me Speak podcast that the Suns are taking a step back. That was my vote for the team taking a step back. And that could be part of it. I wasn't even really thinking about that, but that just adds to it if they can't secure DeAndre Ayton.
I absolutely agree. Now, Pat, Kevin Huerter, also 4 years, $65 million with the Hawks. And I just read a quote from him before we hopped on here. He was like, man, people are complaining that I could have got more money. This is life-changing money. He said the NBA makes it seem like $100 million isn't a lot of money. $1 million is a lot of money. This is life-changing. And I was like, how refreshing from a pro athlete to say that getting paid all of this money, man, is a good thing. Normally you hear, I get underpaid, all this, that, the other thing. No, he's like, you know what? I'm getting paid $16 million a season. I'm feeling pretty good.
It is refreshing. I like it. And he's a good guy too. Great player. I'm excited. I think he's going to be a player that definitely takes another step forward this season.
Yeah, and people are looking at him in the kind of that 6 man of the year race as well. Wendell Carter, 4 years, 50 million with the Magic, and putting him in the top half of the centers in the NBA when it comes to pay. And then we mentioned DeAndre Ayton not getting that extension. Marvin Bagley didn't. Colin Sexton didn't. Mo Bamba didn't. So there's a lot of talent in that draft class that could become restricted free agents this year or free agents, in the future. So definitely some people to keep an eye on.
I wonder why the Cavs wouldn't pay Colin Sexton.
It's weird.
Who do they have to pay? It's like there's not much going on in Cleveland right now.
I agree. You paid Lauri Markkanen. You got money
Yeah.
tied up in Kevin Love, but you don't have to pay your young guys. Evan Mobley, they paid Jared Allen, but you're not paying Darius Garland what you're not paying Colin Sexton. So they better figure that one out.
Yeah, some bad business there, seemingly.
No, without a doubt, man. Now, Ben Simmons, Pat.
Speaking of bad business.
The drama's hilarious, right? Speaking of bad business. So Ben Simmons shows up, starts the practice, right? Third day of practice, practicing in sweatpants, has his phone in his pocket, man. And then, the rest of the team is in jerseys and shorts like you would be, playing basketball, being a professional basketball player. Now, Ben Simmons refuses 3 times from Doc Rivers to enter a defensive drill during practice. Rivers kicks him out, suspends him for the opening night, man. I mean, for a guy that wants to be out and wants to work with the Sixers, your trade value is just dropping and dropping and dropping. Mm-hmm. What's going on here, man?
I know it just seems like, obviously he doesn't care because he wants out, but I'm curious, do you think he actually would have played on opening night? Like, even regardless of this happening, like, I feel like he wouldn't have started. Like, I feel like he would have got bench minutes maybe, but in my head, there's no way Doc Rivers, who really doesn't stand for nonsense. I just feel like he wouldn't have started them. I don't know.
I agree. And you also just said it, man. When you talk about a coach that's no nonsense, this is not one of the coaches that you want to mess with.
No, not with Doc.
If you're Jason Tatum and you did this to Brad Stevens last year, there's a chance that you can walk on this guy, but not with Doc Rivers. That is not how he rolls, man. And then, of course, Joel Embiid gets asked about it, man. And he said, I don't care. He's like, this isn't my business. I'm not being part of it. Now, Doc Rivers has his problems with him, man. Joel Embiid does, the whole organization. It's time to move on. But Ben Simmons, you are making it so hard for them to move on. They want to trade you. They want to get high value back for you. But if you're having a terrible attitude in practice, if you're missing the whole off season, if you're getting suspended for games for conduct detrimental to the team, your trade value is at its floor right now. This is a terrible look for Ben.
Yeah, because what are these other teams going to do when they get him and then he decides, I don't like it here and I'm going to give up on this team too? Because then he's going to show up and do the same thing, and it just brings the whole morale down of every other team he goes to. He doesn't want to be known as a cancer to a team as he goes on. So he's just got to put the hustle in and grind, and eventually Philly will find a way to get rid of him because they know at this point they have to move on. I think the best thing to do is just put your head down. But I know I'm not him, so I can't speak for him. But having your phone in your pocket and not participating in defensive drills and getting kicked out of practice is not a good look.
Not at all, man. And they reported that the Sixers were asking for CJ McCollum 3 first-round picks and 3 first-round pick swaps for Ben Simmons, man. Yeah, there's no way you're getting anywhere near that if this is his attitude. You're getting CJ McCollum straight up in a one-on-one. You're not getting a single.
I was going to say, like CJ and a first rounder, like maybe that's like the ceiling right now.
This is a tough situation in Philly, man. But let's get on to the rest of the NBA, Pat, because as we are speaking, in about an hour, the first NBA game of the season is back, man. I'm so excited. We got the Bucks and the Nets, and then later on we got Warriors, Lakers. I mean, 4 of the best teams in the league to start off opening night, Pat. I am so excited for the season to be here.
Yeah, they did 2 potential conference championship matchups here. I mean, Bucks, Nets, and Lakers, Warriors. These could be the 4 teams coming out at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I'm so excited to watch some basketball tonight. And of course, the Celtics have their opener against the New York Knicks tomorrow, which I'm so excited for as well. Got the Celtics hat on, got the KG jersey rocking behind. You got the basketball up, man. I cannot wait. But Pat, to get into the NBA, we just want to do a little award prediction, as we like to do on this show. So why don't you start us off, Pat? Who we got winning the MVP this year?
MVP, I think, especially without Kyrie, if Kyrie's not going to play, the Nets is going to rely on James Harden and Kevin Durant. I mean, even more so than they already would have. And I think Kevin Durant's going to be the MVP because of that. I think Harden's going to be able to facilitate with him. Harden gets a lot of assists, a lot more assists than me or a lot of people even give him credit for. And I feel like he's going to complement Durant really well. And I think, the Nets didn't get it done last year against the Bucks. They had injury problems. Harden was injured. Kyrie was injured. But I think this year, fully healthy, Durant with some help, I think he can definitely not just win a scoring title, but the MVP.
Yeah, dude, he's right at the top of the list without a doubt. And quick thing on Harden, there's only 2 players in the league that have led the league in scoring and assists, Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Harden can pass the ball as well as any player in the league.
Yeah, he can.
I think that's a big reason why Kevin Durant's one of those guys. Kevin Durant was top 3 for me. So for me, it was Kevin Durant, it was Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it was Steph. But I landed on Steph Curry. And the reason is I think he's just going to be on a revenge tour. I think that roster is absolutely loaded, and I don't think they're getting credit for it. Otto Porter, Jonathan Kuminga, who's the 7th overall pick in the draft, and Andre Iguodala off the bench, which I think is massive. You get Klay Thompson back. I think Steph is going to be right in the scoring title race with Kevin Durant, and I think the Warriors are going to have extreme success in the Western Conference. And, Giannis, I think, is unfortunately getting to that, what's it called when the voters are tired of picking the same guy? I can't think of what the word is, man, but it happens. He's won a couple defense players of the year. He's won a couple MVPs. He's now won a championship. So I think that the voters may be a little tired of Giannis. So that's why I'm going Steph, but that's why I'm going Giannis for defensive player of the year, Pat. I think that Giannis wins defensive player of the year because he doesn't win MVP. I think he's going to be right up in that discussion, but with what Giannis does on both sides of the court, especially defensively, he's the best help defender in basketball. And I mean, obviously no one attacks him one-on-one when you see that length and that athleticism. And one of my favorite words, that bounceability, man. When you're 6'11" and got those kind of bunnies, man, I wouldn't go anywhere near that. So I'm rocking with Giannis for defensive player of the year this year.
That's what I always hear in 2K too. He said they always say that and then laugh too, like the bounceability. It's funny. But I actually did have Giannis here as one of my options. I didn't know, I was kind of deciding between these two, and really pretty popular choices. Giannis, always a top contender in defense, has won defensive player of the year. And then the other one is Rudy Gobert, which I think he just came off winning one, or he won one 2 years ago.
I think he might have 2 or 3 of them now.
I think he has 3 now. I think he has 3 defensive player of the years, and I could easily see him winning a 4th. I mean, if you've won 3, you can definitely win a 4th. There is some stiff competition, especially with Giannis, but I think if I had to decide on one, I'd go with you and probably say Giannis. Just because he's not my MVP either. I have Durant, so I could see Giannis definitely winning one of those.
Yeah, and it is kind of funny, but it's like Derrick Henry. We're not going to give him the MVP, but let's give him the offensive player of the year, because for some reason there's a difference between those awards. So I think Giannis may get defensive player of the year if he doesn't win MVP. I think it may be a little good consolation prize for him.
I know, and I know it's football, but Derrick Henry, the way he's looked, he should be an MVP candidate, but it's funny because he's not even in the convo. But maybe we'll get into it after. Maybe.
Yeah, we can absolutely talk about that, man. Now, you said Rudy Gobert is one of your picks. Now, Pat, your 6th man of the year pick, staying on the Utah Jazz over there.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson. I mean, he was I think he actually won it last year. Yeah, he won it last year. And not much has changed in Utah. So I think, I think he could easily do it again. I think he's going to pretty much slide right into the same role. He's got the same role there between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. So I could easily see it. And I like him coming off the bench because they have Mike Conley at point guard, and then Jordan Clarkson probably coming off the bench, getting good minutes, point guard, shooting guard. So I like it.
And let's be frank, 6th man of the year is about scoring a lot of points, right?
It is.
That's what it's all about off the bench. Jordan Clarkson is going to average 20 off that bench again, man. He has such a green light playing next to Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. He can shoot as many shots as he wants, and Quinn Snyder is going to let him do it. But, Pat, I'm going to go for a former 6th man of the year as well, and I'm going to go with Dennis Schroeder with our Boston Celtics.
I like it.
Of course, I got the Homer hat on, as always, but man, I got to tell you, Schroeder is what this Celtics team has been missing for years. We have not had a guard that can put his head down and get to the basket and finish around guys like Dennis Schroeder since Rajon Rondo. Jason Tatum can get to the hoop. Jaylen Brown can get to the hoop, but then it looks pretty bleak for the rest of the team when it comes to going downhill. I love Dennis Schroeder. I think he's poised to average somewhere in that 15 to 18 point range. I think he's going to average 6 or 7 assists. I think he's going to slide in really nicely with Marcus Smart, with Jaylen Brown, with Jason Tatum, and whoever's at the 5. In a closing lineup, man, with Schroeder and Smart and Brown and Tatum and Horford or Rob Will, man, that is defense all over the place. And I think that Schroeder may have a little bit of an edge over some other guys because of his defensive ability too. So I think that, even though it is a scoring award off the bench most of the time, I think Schroeder's versatility lends really well to him having a shot at winning this award this year.
Yeah, he's almost going to be most valuable player off the bench just because he's doing everything along with scoring. And we got him for a bargain, so that's always nice.
Oh, without a doubt. What a bargain that is, man. Now moving over to Rookie of the Year. Who are you rocking with there, Pat?
Jalen Green on the Rockets. And I think
I like it.
just because the Rockets don't have much, there's not much going on. He's going to get plenty of time with the ball, plenty of minutes. So I just think with the talent he has, and he has the perfect environment to do it, the Rockets will not do well, which all the more reason to just let him develop, get him as many touches as possible, build some confidence in him. And I think he's just got a good environment where he can succeed.
Yeah, and he's going to have a lot of shots, man. I mean, Kevin Porter's there, Christian Wood's there, but I mean, your starting center is going to end up being Daniel Tice, man. I mean, Jalen Green's going to end up getting a lot of shots on a bad team, which puts him right up there with Cade Cunningham. But I'm going to go with the guy that I think is the best player out of this draft, and that's Jalen Suggs. I've been saying it for a long time, Pat. I mean, he was the 4th pick in the draft, but I thought he was the best player. I think he's better than Cade Cunningham personally. I love Jalen Suggs. He's a 6'4", 6'5" guard, does absolutely everything on both sides of the ball. And Orlando has not been able to figure out their point guard position since it feels like Jameer Nelson left, man. They've had Michael Carter-Williams. They have Markelle Fultz. They draft Cole Anthony. None of it has worked. I am chips on the table for Jalen Suggs. He's their next star. I think that he is the guy that can kind of bring the Magic back to some relevancy in the NBA. And I absolutely love Jalen Suggs, everything about. He's an absolute professional. So you remember that Gonzaga half court shot, man. I'm bringing some of that magic to Orlando.
I do.
Dude.
I do.
I love Jalen Suggs.
Yeah. What's not to love about him? I mean, I think we were high on him when he got drafted. I know you definitely were. So I'm definitely excited to see him play a lot because he is with the Magic. I feel bad for the Magic every year because even when they seem to get better, it's like something gets a trade. They get forced into a trade or something a player wants out, and they can just never keep a consistent roster. So I hope that with Jalen Suggs, they can hopefully start to.
Yeah, I mean, you trade away Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. It's kind of a fresh start, and hopefully Jalen Suggs completely is the leader of that charge. That point general out there.
We hope so. We hope so.
Now, comeback player of the year, Pat. I feel like this is a pretty unanimous one around the league, and you and I are both rocking with the same guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say we probably both have the same one. I didn't know yours yet, which I like.
Yep.
Klay Thompson, though. It feels like the safe bet, right? He didn't play at all last year, and the year before that, he was one of the greatest 3-point shooters the league has to offer, and all around players too, not just 3-point shooting, but he's the absolute perfect complement to Steph Curry. I mean, they just play so well together. He's the perfect fit for the Warriors, and I just see him picking up right where he left off. So I think for those reasons, we both have a unanimous Klay Thompson.
Yeah, and Klay's actually missed the last 2 seasons, which seems absolutely ridiculous with an Achilles and an ACL. But I feel like that makes him double comeback player of the year. Like, I feel like...
Yeah, because he's came back from so much,
Yeah, he's coming back from 2 injuries, man. And I'm going to go on about it over and over again. But when you look at the depth that this team has, Klay Thompson is not going to be forced into anything. He's not going to be rushed into anything. And he's going to have the complementary pieces around him to have a fantastic year. If we get 75 to 80% of what Klay Thompson can be, I think he wins this award handily.
100%. 100%.
Now, coach of the year, Pat, who we rocking with here?
So as you know, I am high on the Bulls. So I think because I had a feeling you might go with the other coach I had. I don't know, but
I did.
I'm going. So we'll see. We'll hear that in a sec. I'm going with Billy Donovan because I am high on the Bulls. I said it on Joe's podcast. I'm high on the Bulls. I think they're going to be. I mean, they finished 11th in the East last year. It was like 12 games under 500, something like that. And they got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine's still there. They have Nikola Vucevic, Lonzo Ball now, Patrick Williams, I believe and now they have Alex Caruso coming off the bench too. So I don't think they're as deep of a squad, but their starting lineup is so much better. They just have a more well-rounded team. they were never that deep. So really, they just got better. And I just see them finishing so much better than 11th this year. I think I had them at the 4 through 6 spot, 4 being very high ball. I would say 5 or 6 is more likely, 6 being like my optimal choice. So if I'm being realistic, I could see definitely Coach of the Year Billy Donovan, because bringing the Bulls from 11th in the East up to maybe even 6th at the worst. And then I think they could get a playoff series done too at that point.
I think that's a great pick, man, and not one that I was thinking of when we put this together. But I think Donovan absolutely has a shout there, and I mean the pieces are there in Chicago, right? So let's make it happen. Let's see what they can do. But
Yeah,
Pat, you guessed it, man. I'm going with Ime Udoka. I'm going with the Celtics' new head coach. I just think he brings so much to this team. I think the players have so much love and respect for him. I think he's brought in a really fantastic coaching staff. You look at some of the hires, man, and Marcus Smart's talking about how Damon Stoudemire, who's an NBA vet, former college coach, now is on the staff. He's like, it couldn't have been more perfect timing for Ime to bring this guy in. So man, I think the Celtics are going to take a big step. I think that Jason Tatum is going to take, that top 10 player in the league mantle finally. I think he's going to be in the MVP conversation. And I think you're going to see Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Smart and all these other guys playing so well. I think we're going to get a lot out of Romeo Langford, Aaron Nesmith, Rob Williams, Al Horford. And I really do believe that Ime Udoka is going to have us playing as a real legit team. And that's why I have him as coach of the year. I think we could be a top 3 seed in the East. And I think that's enough to get the win there for Ime Udoka.
I'm excited to see him coach. I don't know where he coached prior, but I'm very excited to see him coach. And yeah, a lot of things seem to be going right for the Celtics. It seems like the pieces are there.
He was a 10-year NBA vet, bunch of stops, but coached under Popovich for a while, moved to Philly, moved to Brooklyn. So he's been around, and it's finally his turn. And Pat, I got to tell you, he's 6'7". I like that. I like that. As
I like that too.
Stare your players in the eyes.
Yeah, what was Brad Stevens? I mean, he was
like
small.
6'2" or something. But
yeah.
But man, I'm telling you can look your players in the eye. That's a difference. We got a little height on the coaching staff now. I like that. I like that a lot.
It too. And I don't know why I felt like Brad Stevens was shorter than that. 6'2" is a very that's tall. I mean, let's not get it twisted. That's tall. I'm nowhere near that.
He was a college basketball player. He's 6'1". I just had to get the Google machine to verify.
I was gonna say that's a good height. All right, I thought he was like 5'10".
Pat, last one in the awards, most improved player, man. I'm going with my Duke, man. I'm going with RJ Barrett. And I think that he takes the step that Julius Randle did last year. Randle won most improved player, brought the Knicks to the playoffs, disappointing once they got there against Atlanta. But I think RJ takes that step into some grown man basketball. I think he's averaging 21, 7 and 7 this year. I think he's really going to come out as a leader. He's a fantastic player. He's still so young. Give me the Maple Mamba, man. The Canadian right there, man. Maple Mamba. I'm going with RJ Barrett.
If that happens, the Knicks could easily be like the number 4 spot in the East, because then they'd have Julius Randle and RJ Barrett balling. Then they just got Fournier too, Kemba. I mean, they have a good lineup put together. So if RJ Barrett can flourish like that, the Knicks are going to be in business. And my pick for most improved player, which it's funny because he's a popular choice, but it seems like it's hard to build off of what he's already done, because he already played such a huge role for the Nuggets, and that's Michael Porter Jr. And a big part of that was second half of the season. I mean, Jamal Murray went down; he was out for the rest of the year, and now we don't know if he's coming back right away. So I think Michael Porter is gonna have to step into a much bigger role right from the get-go. I think even when Jamal Murray comes back, he's still gonna they need him. He's gonna be a big piece of that. I don't think Aaron Gordon he hasn't. As long as they had him last year, he didn't perform as well as I thought he would. Maybe it's going to take an adjustment period. I think this year he'll be better, but Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and then no Jamal Murray right now. I think he just is that perfect third piece until they get Jamal Murray back, and then he just completes the lineup. So I still see him taking another big step forward.
Michael Porter's, he did. Yeah, right. That's a little motivation.
So yeah, that's a little motivation.
Michael Porter is one of those guys that could step into superstardom any day of the week. Like he could take that next dude, 6'10", shoots the way he does, moves the way he does, handles it. He could be a superstar with, flip of a switch anytime. So I could absolutely see that happening. Now, Pat, last thing before we move on to the NFL and what happened in week 6, get a little NBA finals way too early matchup, man. So I'm rocking here with the Nets out of the East. I think even without Kyrie Irving, they should be the favorite. I love what the Bucks did last year. I love what the Celtics are doing, but I think the Nets are the favorite out of the East without a doubt. And I'm so high on them. I'm going with the Warriors out of the West. I think this team has absolutely everything. I think they're going to get back to that rare form that they like to be in. And with what Steph Curry did last year, I see him picking that up tonight against the Lakers. I'm going for like a 40-piece, man. I think he's going to be phenomenal all year. Give me Steph and the Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets on the other side.
All right, Brooklyn Nets. I see, that's funny because we do have the same four, obviously. I think a lot of people will, and people who listen to this podcast will know me and Chandler picked Nets Lakers last year. So I am not going to do that. They are going to be in my final four, but I'm not going to go with them. I am going to go Bucks versus Warriors. Bucks, because I think Giannis is taking another step forward this year. Even after an MVP, it's like I've seen clips of him already in preseason, and he can shoot the ball. I mean, he's been just spot up shooting, and I'm like, if this man can spot up shoot and he can hit a free throw, he's going to be an absolute problem for the league, even more so than he already was. And the Bucks haven't lost anything, they haven't lost a step whatsoever. The Nets have the whole thing going on with Kyrie Irving. We don't know what that's like. Kyrie's probably not going to play. The Nets have already come out and say that he's not going to be a part of the team if he's not vaccinated, because he can't play half the games all year. So what are you going to do? So it's going to be Durant and James Harden, which is no slouch, but I think the Bucks are going to come out of the East again, even after last year, which was very competitive. I think the Bucks will come out. And then in the West, I'm agreeing with you. I think the Warriors will come out. Klay Thompson coming back is a huge boost. The rest of the team is developing well. Steph is going to continue to be Steph, and he's your MVP pick. So if that's true, then we're looking pretty good. And Warriors Bucks final looks like it could be likely.
Oh man, the big market teams would just be in shambles if we had San Fran and Milwaukee again,
I know.
just like last year. But
Yep.
who knows? Maybe those big market guys won't be making it. I'd love to see that.
I know I think for the league, like we need like a Lakers Knicks final, but obviously I think we're a little ways off from that.
Yeah, that's a few years away, man. Always fun talking NBA, Pat, but we got to get into the NFL. We got to get this week 6 review going. So starting off, game of the week. Second game of the week, I should say, because your Ravens were the game of the week. But Cardinals just beat up on the Browns, man. The Browns just look so hurt. They didn't look like they belonged in this game. They ended up losing to the Cardinals 37-14, Pat. It wasn't even close. Now, the Browns are now missing Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Jarvis Landry's out. Baker's shoulder's hurt. OBJ is still a little iffy, man. The Browns are not looking great at 3-3, and the Cardinals are now 6-0 with that high-powered offensive defense, and J.J. Watt had his best game of the year, man. I don't know who's stopping these Cardinals right now.
I know. I think the injuries are just getting to the Browns. And actually, it's funny that they scored 14 points because one of those touchdowns was that like Hail Mary to Donovan Peoples-Jones in the end zone, which, is Jarvis Landry's replacement as of now. So it was a Hail Mary that they even got one of those touchdowns on. It was a great play by the receiver, but Hail Marys always have some luck to them. It's not like they had a good drive and capped off a nice drive with a touchdown. And it was a great looking series of play. No. So without that, they've got beat 37-7 at home, which is very bad because Cleveland's a tough place for opponents to play. So the Cardinals they really impressed me because I was, I'm higher on the Browns than a lot of people are, especially on Baker too. But the Cardinals looked great. They moved to 6-0. The Browns 3-3. Yeah, there's some question marks there. I mean, they did lose to a very good Cardinals team, but after that heartbreaking loss to the Chargers too, it's a couple of bad losses in a row. So they got to figure it out next week. They can't go 3-4. They have to go 4-3 for the sake of their season.
Yeah, luckily they're at home again next week, but it is Thursday night with no Nick Chubb, so we'll see what happens. We'll definitely predict that. We'll definitely predict that, but Ravens just absolutely destroyed the Chargers at the bank, man. In B-more. Go ahead, Pat.
It does put a smile on my face, but yeah, we looked good. The funny thing, like Lamar didn't even play that great of a game. I mean, he had 2 picks, he had 1 passing touchdown, and then I believe we had 3 rushing touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell hit pay dirt, which was nice. We're always going to be a run first offense. It was, Lamar didn't have the best game, but it really doesn't matter because I forget what the final score was, 35-6, something like that.
Something around, yeah.
Something around there. we just looked great. The defense looked great. We always look good at home. M&T Bank is such a tough place for opponents to play. And I'm just proud, as good as the Chargers have been playing, that we could shut down the offense, because that was always going to be the question. The Ravens can always score, but the question is sometimes our defense is a little shaky, especially with the injuries we've had. So I was just proud that we held them to 6 points, because that's the biggest statement out of all of it.
Yeah, I sent it to you, man. The amount of injuries that the Ravens have had, it's been unbelievable. You're missing so many guys, and to go dominate such a good team, this Chargers team has been looking fantastic. I am such a big fan of them, but the Ravens look great. I mean, it was 34-6, so you were only
I was
1
very
point
close.
off,
All
Pat,
right.
but that is, I mean, pure and utter domination in a game. And man, Le'Veon Bell, touchdown. Devonta Freeman, touchdown. Latavius Murray, touchdown. These guys weren't on the team 6 weeks ago. This is unbelievable what Harbaugh and Lamar are doing on that offense. And the defense just looked fantastic, man. Marlon Humphrey. I mean, it stunk to see Patrick Queen go down, but there's a lot to be happy about as a Ravens fan right now.
Absolutely. Other teams are inquiring about trading for a running back now, because we have our 3. Someone wants one of our guys: Devonta Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, Latavius. I don't know who it is, but teams need running backs because there's so many running back injuries across the league. I mean, the Eagles are starting a backup. The Bears are starting a backup. The Ravens are starting all backups. It's like now the Browns too. I mean, there's so many.
The Patriots have had 3 of their 4 running backs in this extended time. I feel you, man.
Josh Jacobs was hurt. He's back, but there's too many.
Pat, in spite of all this John Gruden nonsense that's going on, the Raiders beat the Broncos, moved to 4-2. They look pretty good, man. Any impressions from that game?
Well, this was one of the ones I got wrong, because I really thought the Broncos would win this game, especially at home. I'm pretty sure they were in Denver. Actually, they definitely were. Yeah, so a great Raiders win on the road, despite all the turmoil. I mean, I was very surprised. I did not think the Raiders were going to come out and do much, especially against a good Denver defense and in Denver. So I was surprised. I mean, this is a great win for the Raiders. Bad loss for the Broncos. It might be an even worse loss for the Broncos, because with everything going on with their opponent and they were at home and they drop a game like that, it just was not a good look.
Yeah, that's a statement game right there for those Broncos. They need to win it. The Broncos started off 3-0, Pat. They're 3-4. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe what we're seeing with this Broncos team. I wanted to have more faith in Teddy Bridgewater than I do, but Teddy is just simply not the guy that can bring them to the playoffs. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
And Vic Fangio didn't take that Ravens loss well, so I don't think I think we might have rattled his cage.
Is that where it all started?
I can't remember if that was their first or their second loss, but it definitely got bad after that.
Oh man, that's tough. The Ravens destroyed the Broncos season. That's pretty bad, Pat.
Oh boy.
Now moving on, man. Urban Meyer and those Jaguars get their first win of the year. It's against Miami. It is in London. And I got to tell you, this game was not pretty on either side of the ball, but Jacksonville gets that first win. And I got to tell you, I saw a clip of Joe Burrow talking to Trevor Lawrence after the Bengals beat the Jags. And Joe Burrow was saying it gets better. It gets better to Trevor Lawrence. And, maybe it's starting to look a little bit better for Jacksonville. I'm not sure, Pat. I don't know. What did you think of this game?
It could start to look better. I think it was more like a bad Dolphins loss, though, as opposed to a good Jaguars win, because the Dolphins looked terrible. Brian Flores had that late 4th and whatever that they went for, and they didn't convert. They put the Jaguars in great field position, and they were able to set up the win eventually. So I think it was more of a bad Dolphins loss, but I like what Joe Burrow said, because, I mean, that guy, he got injured too, and they've had a really bad start in Cincinnati, and now this year it's going a little bit better. So I like the message for Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence himself looks pretty good. He's made some mistakes where he's running towards the sideline, and instead of just taking the loss and going out of bounds, he's trying to force the pass into very tight coverage on the sideline. But he's starting to not do those things a little more, and he's looking better. He's looking more consistent. He had that great TD pass to Marvin Jones Jr. So there are some signs of life there. But yeah, overall, this was more a bad loss for the Dolphins.
And you put it on here, Pat. I mean, the Dolphins, are they the flop of the NFL this year after such a great year last year?
For me, I think they are. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else might even come close. For me, it's like I was so high on the Dolphins. I thought they were going to finish second in that division. And right now, they're in. I don't know if they're in last. They're tied for last with the Jets. They both have one win. Yep. Yeah, they both have one win. So the fact that they might lose in that division to the Jets, I mean, it's going to be interesting when they come up against the Jets.
Yeah, and it just makes that Patriots week 1 loss feel so much worse that we were 7 yards away from winning that game before that Damian Harris fumble, and now we're the only team that the Dolphins have beat. It
Yep.
does not feel good. And Pat, I forgot to ask you how you did in fantasy this week, but I lost by about 60 points because for many reasons, but Myles Gaskin scores 32 last week, puts up 3.4 this week, man. Ends up being their third string running back in Miami. Not
Yep.
feeling good about fantasy anymore, man.
Well, I almost came back, and it was all because of that Bills game too. So, Tyler Bass had scored a bunch of points already, and I only needed like 5 more. I needed a field goal and an extra point, and I would have beat our former roommate Shane. And it's looking good, but then nope, they get the touchdown, they go for 2 points, so they get the 2-point conversion instead of kicking the extra point. And I'm like, oh, that's gonna bite me in the ass. I knew it. I absolutely knew it. And then later on, I didn't get to watch it because I these primetime games, they're just the death of me. But I wake up in the morning and I find out that they went for it on 4th down late in the game and they didn't get it. Instead of kicking the field goal to tie it, they went for it to try to get the touchdown and win. Yeah, which I guess is fair because they did it. They were on the road, right, in Tennessee. So go for the win on the road. I respect it. I do respect it out of the Bills, but I tell you, it screwed my fantasy week.
And man, let's touch on that game real quick because I mean, how good did those Titans look against Buffalo? It was a great game, back and forth in Tennessee. I was stressing out watching this game, man. But the big takeaway here, man, it's not Josh Allen, even though he looked great. It's not the defense on either side. It's Derrick Henry. You see that 77-yard touchdown, and you wonder, how is he the biggest guy on the field and the fastest guy on the field? How does this make sense? He looks like a defensive end, Pat. He ran 22 miles an hour on that touchdown.
He's unbelievable. It's like good luck getting in his way. If he hits the first gap, it's almost impossible to take him down. I saw that 77-yard touchdown and I was like, how does this not happen every play? You start to think about it. I'm like, if they do a running play and he hits one gap, if they have a decent O-line, it's so tough to take him down. You have guys just sacrificing their bodies, just putting their entire body on the line to try to take him down. And that's after like a 20-yard gain. It's just, you have to do the absolute most, and there's no game planning for him. There really isn't. No. I mean, I guess the Ravens did in the playoffs, which was awesome, but there's a select few defenses that can game plan for him, and the Bills, I guess, are not one of them.
And that's the unfortunate thing for Tennessee, because if it's not Derrick Henry, it's not happening. Julio Jones, not a great game. A.J. Brown, not a great game. Derrick Henry, 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tannehill's not going to get you the win. It's Derrick Henry, man, and he looked incredible. He should be in the MVP conversation. He should be
100%
right up there, man. He's easily top 10, probably top 6-7 guys that should be in that conversation.
Yeah, he's had like 2 or 3 touchdown games in the last 5 games. Another couple 1 touchdown games, over 100 yards in all of them. A couple were over like 150. I mean, the stats he's putting up are ridiculous, and he is poised to keep it going the entire season.
You know what I was thinking while I was watching that game? Derrick Henry is the Megatron of running backs. He's the Calvin Johnson. He is just bigger, faster, stronger than you, and he's going to beat you every time.
Every time.
He's unbelievable, man.
Any other running back, any other D lineman, any other linebacker trying to take him down, he's just as big as them.
Oh, it's unbelievable, man. It really is. Now, Pat, Patriots losing to these Cowboys in overtime, another tight, tough loss. And I'm going to try not to go too long here, Pat, but I got to tell you, we are up 14-7 in this game. Beautiful play to Jacoby Myers. Go up 21-7. Up, called back because of a hold. Man, Cowboys score before the half. It's like, all right, it's not bad. 14-10. We're getting the ball. Pats are leading most of this game. Dak looks incredible. It's amazing that we were in this game with what Dak was doing. But our defense played okay. Our offense looked really good. We had a great rushing attack. Mac looked pretty decent other than the pick 6 to Trayvon Diggs, which I didn't know that him and Stephon Diggs were brothers. Yeah. They both have 2 touchdowns this season. Trayvon Diggs has 2 pick 6s in his 7 interceptions in 6 games. This guy's incredible. He's running away with Defensive Player of the Year right now, in my opinion, for those Cowboys. But Pat, man, we are up 14-10 with the ball. Okay. With the ball, with a minute and a half left in the half. Bill Belichick knees the ball 3 times. We didn't have any timeouts. We're up 4. 90 seconds, Pat, and we take 3 knees. That says, Mac Jones, I don't trust you to complete a couple passes.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get in field goal range. I'm worried that you're going to throw a pick and they're going to score. That is zero faith in your quarterback, which is so tough for a kid that has been so good through his first 6 games. It is so frustrating to watch.
I feel like that's been a common theme. Like we've definitely said that probably the last 2 weeks is how Bill has not letting him take that chance. He's not putting the faith in Mac.
You have 90 seconds. You don't have a 2-minute drill. Mac Jones is best when he's in a hurry up offense. The 2-minute drill is where he has thrived this year. And you don't put the faith in him to go get it done. And I know he throws the pick 6, which was tough. But, guess what? It went through Kendrick Bourne's hands. And then the next play, 75-yard touchdown to Kendrick Bourne. We were the only team in the league without a 35-yard touchdown. So that was nice to get that.
Nice. And
that was
to Mac's defense. Like, yes, it went through Kendrick Bourne's hands. And then it went to the guy who has the hottest defensive hand in the entire league right now, and Trayvon Diggs. The fact that it was Trayvon Diggs is better for Mac because then it's like, all right, well, that figures, it's not like Jamal Adams on the Seahawks, letting that pass hit him right in the chest after saying he's the best in the nation on the, the defensive intros. He's like, I'm the best in the nation. And then he, it's however far in the future in that game, he blows the interception.
I like too that they put the Pro Football Focus rankings under that, and he goes best in the nation, 62 out of 85, right underneath.
Yeah,
it just looks terrible.
Not good.
And I like Jamal Adams, but that is definitely not a good look. Pat, last couple things on this game. Defense did not look good for the Patriots. We looked gassed at the end of the 4th quarter and overtime. Matt Judon was so tired. He was barely affecting the game. Jonathan Jones was out. So JC Jackson's basically our only corner other than Jalen Mills. It wasn't enough. We really could have used Jonathan Jones and Stephon Gilmore for that matter. But then, Pat, you get to overtime. We have to punt. What are you going to do? This explosive offense takes over for the Cowboys. You score. This is the 3rd game, Pat, that we lose by 1 possession, that we lose by 1 play in the game, which is so hard as a Pats fan. We could be 5-1, and 2 of those losses come against teams that are 5-1 in Dallas and Tampa Bay, which is why, remember, everyone called me crazy. Joe laughed at me for saying the Pats could win this game. I think the Pats should have won this game, but guess what?
They should.
The Cowboys had 567 yards. What are you going to do? They had 232 more yards than the Pats did during that game, is what it is, right? I can only rant for so long. It was a hard fought game. Felt like we should have won, but that Cowboys offense is unstoppable. It looks like.
Well, a win with that stat line would have actually been impressive if the Cowboys had that many more yards and the Pats still beat them. That would have been very impressive.
Yeah, I wonder if a team has ever won with 230 less yards of offense than the opposite. I'm not sure that's
you'd be hard pressed. You'd be hard pressed to find a game like that.
All right, man. I won't talk about him anymore till we get on to the end of the show, Pat. But Geno Smith and the Seahawks, man, they looked good. They looked a lot better than expected, man. We were surprised. Kind of speaks to the inconsistency of the Steelers, but Steelers end up pulling that one out in overtime.
And we both expected the Steelers to win in Pittsburgh, but I expected them to win by more than 3 points, in a last-second field goal. So it's kind of crazy that the Seahawks did as well as they did with Geno Smith. It was good of him to do that. It's just such an inconsistent Seahawks team as it is. And then just to take out Russell Wilson. I mean, I could see them playing a lot of closer games like this to everyone's surprise, but then not being able to pull through. I think they're going to lose a lot of 1-possession games going forward without Russell Wilson. I think they're capable. They have good players. They're capable of making it a close game. Their offense or their defense is okay, but playing in Pittsburgh and Steelers defense with that crowd, it's just tough.
Yeah, and then the next game, the Vikings, man, they barely beat the Panthers in overtime, and dude, it was kind of a similar thing. You're like, oh, this Panthers team, there's just no quarterback play to get them to this win, just like with the Seahawks. You're like, someone else could step in. I turned this game on Red Zone, or I see it on Red Zone. Sam Darnold was 5 for 18 with 60 yards. I was like, who's at quarterback? Zach Wilson? No, it's the other New York reject, unfortunately, man. This Panthers team would have won this game with 25 other quarterbacks in the NFL, man. This was really tough to watch. I'm kind of glad the Vikings got the win because Panthers, man, they were playing in spite of Sam Darnold on Sunday, man. It was tough to watch.
It was. And that was one I did get right because I did guess that the Vikings
Yep.
would win that game, but I didn't think they would win it like that with the Panthers looking that bad. You know, I thought it was going to be I don't know. I just thought it was going to be a more well played game than that.
Yeah, especially Vikings are turning the ball over a little bit. You think the Panthers have a chance, but if your offense just can't get moving, and we thought McCaffrey might be activated for week 6, he's not going to be able to be activated till at least week 9 now. So that Panthers offense is definitely going to be looking for some help.
And what's with that? These injuries keep getting pushed back. Like Mike Thomas, now they were saying he's going to be good to go. Now they're like, oh, he's not going to be ready for at least a few more weeks. Now the same with McCaffrey. They were ready to activate him. Now Nick Chubb too. Nick Chubb was looking like he might be good to go. He's ruled out for Thursday night's game. So all these injuries just getting delayed.
My guess is it's the weird rules about how many guys you can have on short-term IR or long-term. They're probably just gaming the system. But other than that, it makes no sense to me other than some longer recoveries. But couple just absolute routes this week too, Pat. The Colts 31-3 over the Texans. Chiefs, man, they are down 13-10 against Washington, end up winning 31-13. And then the Rams, I mean, this was just an absolute beatdown. I mean, they beat the Giants by 27 points, man. And I honestly just felt bad for this Giants team. The Rams did anything they wanted. Cooper Kupp to just open every single play, it felt like.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I love these three together. I was like, these games were there were no high points for the teams that lost and redemption for the Chiefs a little bit. But yeah, we expected the Colts. Notable that T.Y. Hilton came back. He had 4 catches for like 80 yards. He had a pretty good game. He had a nice early catch too, pretty deep. So that was nice to see. I was happy to see him back. But yeah, Texans did not look good. Giants. Yeah, it's the Texans and Giants. They just, unfortunately, the Giants just got to get healthy, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen this year.
It's tough when you're missing your quarterback, your running back, one of your wide receivers, a couple guys. I mean, there's
and that's
not
the thing, it's not
there.
their fault. It's not like they're playing bad. They just can't get any help.
The Giants look like my fantasy team, man. That's what they look like with all these injuries.
Yeah. Shout out Kareem Hunt going on IR. That's after you trade for him. That's awesome.
What did you text? Like, hey, 9-day return policy? Like I traded for him 9 days ago.
Yeah, it's like with receipt, 7-day return policy. Is like because it was literally like I had him for like 3 days, and then he's going on IR for probably 4 or 5 weeks. So
man,
I'm pumped.
That is absolutely brutal, Pat. Before we get into these picks real quick, Pat, for week 7, just want to update the listeners. We both went 10-4 this week. So the records stay exactly the same again, Pat. 59-35, which we're both doing all right. We're both hovering over 60% with our picks. So we're feeling good.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good.
Hey, I'll take it from a couple armchair quarterbacks. Now, Pat, we got 6 teams on buys this week. The Bills, Cowboys, Jaguars, Chargers, Vikings, Steelers. It's a shame we're not going to get to see the Bills, Cowboys, or Chargers play this week. I guess I should maybe lump the Vikings in there, but I'm going to keep the Kirk Cousins hate going. Got to mention it even when they're not playing.
Keep the train rolling.
We got a Thursday night game in Cleveland this week. The 3-3 Broncos and the 3-3 Browns. How we feeling there, Pat?
Regrettably, I'm just still going to ride with the Browns. I think they'll get it done at home this time. Last week, I thought they would get it done at home, but granted, that was a much tougher matchup. The Broncos just don't look that good anymore. I just don't know what's going on with them, honestly, and I just can't see the Browns losing this game at home.
Yeah, I'll take the team on a shorter skid. I'll take the Browns here as well. Because 3 in a row. 3 in a row for the Broncos is just so bad. They're playing away from home. It's a short week, and normally, like sometimes home field doesn't matter. Short week, it's not a good feeling to travel with only like 3 days of practice. Guys are still healing up. I'm gonna go with the Browns there. Moving on to the 1:00 games, we've got the Panthers visiting the New York Giants.
And I imagine you might go with the same pick, but I will be picking the Panthers. Kenny Golladay, I don't know. He has projected points in my fantasy bench, so he might play. Either way, he's not going to be healthy. Daniel Jones still can't be fully healthy. Saquon's not going to be there. There's just not enough there for me to pick them, so I'll go with the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you there, man. I mean, as much as the Panthers are lacking offensive potential and offensive weapons right now, flip to the other side of the ball, and there's just absolutely no hope on offense at this point. So I'm gonna pick Sam Darnold over Mike Glennon. I'm gonna rock with the Panthers there as well. Especially if Stephon Gilmore is back, because he is eligible this week. That would add a much needed help to that secondary in Carolina. Jets visiting the Patriots, Pat. Second time this year already. Hopefully we get 4 more picks on Zach Wilson in this game. That's what I'm hoping for. But I'm obviously rocking with the Pats. I mean, for being 2-4, we're looking pretty good for 2-4. We say it every week. This is a good 2-2. This is a good 2-3. This is a good 2-4 team, and I'm gonna take them over the Jets all day.
Hey, best 2-4 team in the league, best 2-4 team in the league. And I if they were 3-3, they would be up there too. Like they've been right there. Like you said, it's the one possession losses. They're turning into, ghosts of the Chargers here. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully that's not what it turns into, and it's not a familiar theme for you guys, but I will take the Patriots to win this week.
I'm just so spoiled as a New England fan.
You are
through and through, but between the Pats, Celtics, Red Sox, all the above, man, I am like yelling at the TV more than I'm proud of, Pat. It's tough being the Chargers of last year. One possession game. It's getting tough.
Those add up and they take their toll.
They do. And I mean, maybe it's on me for my mental health being solely supported by the success of my sports teams, but that's an issue for another day. Chiefs visiting Tennessee and the Titans, man. I'm really excited for this game. I think this is the game of the week right here.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And to be honest with you, I mean, I counted the Titans out when I shouldn't have. And I'm at home. Derrick Henry just looked unstoppable. If Julio and AJ Brown actually have a good game and Tannehill has like a standout game, they could be, when they're on, they might be the best team in the league when they're all on, just because of Derrick Henry as well. And I think they're going to get it done. I think they'll beat the Chiefs.
Man, this game is really hard to pick for me. I really want to pick the Titans, but I am going to rock with the Chiefs. The Titans suffered a few injuries last night. First rounder
Taylor
on defense.
Taylor Lewan too.
Yep. Taylor Lewan on the offensive line. Their first rounder on their defensive line, both out. And Mahomes got back to it against a really solid Washington football defense. And their offense, I mean, the Chiefs defense held Washington to less points than I thought they would. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in a tight game. But I think Derrick Henry is poised for another 150 and 3 touchdowns, because that Chiefs defense, man, they're going to be shaking in their boots thinking about playing Derrick Henry, man. Not confident there, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs in a tight game, because I think Mahomes might have them back on track a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, either pick there. It's like it's hard to bet against the Chiefs as it is. I know they're 3-3, but all 3 of those times that they lost, it was impossible to bet against them.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And we had to get a little variation. had to get a little variation.
Hey,
in
the Titans gave me all the reason to after that game against the Bills.
No, that's absolutely true, man. I mean, beating that Bills team that beat the Chiefs the week prior. So who knows what's going to happen in Tennessee there. But then we got the Washington football team visiting Lambeau, man. How we feeling there?
Packers look good. They're 5-1 now. I think they're going to keep it rolling, especially at home. Rodgers looked hot against the Bears. He was hyped up. I think I'll take although I do like Washington. I like the Washington team. I just still think I'll ride with the Packers here.
Do you remember when we got a question, should Aaron Rodgers retire after week 1?
I do.
And now they've won 5 in a row.
Yep.
Sole possession of that conference, man. Second best team in the NFC as it stands right now. Got to go with the Packers, man. I mean,
nothing out of the ordinary for the Packers.
Right. Aaron Jones looks awesome. Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, man, their weapons are firing right now. And Rodgers, even as scraggly as he looks right now, playing very well, and definitely rocking with the Packers there. Then we got the 2-3 Falcons visiting the 1-5 Miami Dolphins, Pat. How we feeling?
And the question is, do I pick the Dolphins again, even though they're at home? I don't know. I don't know if I want to pick them. No, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I don't want to pick the Falcons either. I mean, they are 2-3 against the 1-5, but the Dolphins just look terrible. They're coming back off a long travel trip from London. Could cause some fatigue, possibly. I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons are coming off a win and a bye week. The Dolphins are coming off the Bucks scoring 40 on them and then losing in London. So I'm going to go with the team that's rested, that's coming off a win. I'm going with Atlanta. You know, they're going to hopefully get a couple of those receivers back. Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage. Hopefully those guys are playing. So definitely rocking with Atlanta there. But we got a battle in the AFC North. We got Bengals at Baltimore, Pat. Oh man, I love this Bengals team, but at Baltimore, I think I've learned my lesson about picking against the Ravens in Baltimore, man. Where are you going with this game?
It would be
first?
impressive if Joe Burrow could do what Justin Herbert could not. I would be very impressed by that, but I just don't see that happening. We gave up 6 points and we scored 34 of our own. So the Bengals defense is going to have to hold us below, 28 points. And the Ravens aren't going to give up 28 points, but I think we will score that many. So I just think the defense is going to be too much at M&T Bank, and the Ravens will win.
Yeah, like I really want to pick the Bengals here. Like I love what Burrow and Chase are doing, man. I mean, I respect. They're 4-2.
Oh, 100%.
They're playing really well. And it's like, oh, the Ravens just lost Ronnie Stanley, all this, that, and the other thing. But man, the Bengals simply cannot outscore the Ravens. To beat this Ravens team right now, you need to score 30 points, and I don't see them doing that on this defense. So I'm going to rock with your Ravens there as well. And now, Pat, I'm not sure how much we need to talk about this game. We got the Lions visiting the Rams.
Yeah, the poor Lions, the 0-6 Lions. And I would imagine we are both picking the Rams.
Yes, we're definitely rocking with the Rams. Yes, without a doubt. I'm going to, especially at home, but we're going to have to check the Lions schedule and see if they're going to repeat their 0-16 or 0-17 because
they would be the first team ever to go 0-17. They'd be the first team ever.
Dude, and it's like, man, who would they be a favorite against? Not Jacksonville, not Houston, this is looking really ugly for the Lions. I mean, dude, it's terrible, but we're definitely both rocking with the Rams. We got the Eagles visiting the Raiders in the next game, Pat.
And I will take the Raiders in that one because they surprised me. They looked a lot better than I thought they would. And for that, I think I got to take them, especially you said at Raiders as well.
Yep, it's in Las Vegas.
And the Eagles, they ended up making it a decent game against the Bucs, but I just don't think there's enough there. And like I said, the Raiders surprised me, so I'll go with the Raiders.
I can't say anything about the Eagles because I haven't watched them enough this year. Like I've seen them on Red Zone, I've seen the highlights, but this seems like a team that is scoring a lot of points late in games that doesn't really matter, like against the Bucs, like when they played the 49ers, so I'm rocking with the Raiders. They're at home. They're coming off a win. I like this team. And I said it last week. I think that new coach juice and vibe lasts a couple games normally. So I'm going to rock with the Raiders there. Now we got the Houston Texans visiting the 6-0 Arizona Cardinals, man. Prayers up for Davis Mills. Prayers up.
It's gonna be a tough day at the office for the Texans going into 6-0 Arizona. And I mean, Kyler Murray at the end of the game wasn't even playing the other day. They had the backup QB in who I can't remember his name right now. I was watching the game, can't remember, but bottom line, they're playing that well that they can afford to have the backup QB. And at the end of the game, Kyler got the job done. I just can't imagine the Cardinals will lose this game. This won't be the first game they lose.
No, not a chance. Cardinals are moving to 7-0 without a doubt. Now, Pat, was it Colt McCoy or Chris Streveler?
I think it was Colt McCoy.
Because that's that Arizona depth chart. I had to look it up because I had no idea. But
yeah, I couldn't remember. Yeah. It was definitely Colt McCoy. He got he saw the field for some playing time.
That's just disrespectful to the Browns, but I don't blame them, man. You can't risk MVP candidate getting hurt like Kyler. It's absolutely the Cardinals. No discussion needed there. We got the Bears visiting the Bucs. Those 3-3 Bears, man. I'm going with Tampa Bay all day here. I think this is a big mismatch. I think that this defense or this front seven for the Bucs is going to make Justin Fields very uncomfortable all game. And I think Brady puts up 35 like he does, man. I mean, he's incredible. He looks so good right now.
Yeah, the Bears have to rely on their defense too. And I just don't think they're not going to be able to hold off the Bucs and their offense. So I just don't think the Bears will be able to score enough to keep up with the Bucs. And yeah, I would say it's a shoe-in Bucs win this week.
Yeah, I'd definitely put my money on that. We got the Colts visiting the 49ers who are coming off a bye week. How are we feeling there, Pat?
This is going to be a good game.
Niners are 2-3.
this is going to be a good game, but I think I'm going to take the Colts. I'll take the Colts in this one. They looked great last week. I know they're only 2-4, but I feel like they really do have a good roster. Carson Wentz, if he can play well, I think they no question beat the Niners because the Niners haven't looked that great. The running back situation is just a revolving door. They got injuries. They got Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell coming back, which, they're good running backs, but there's just no certainty in their lineup. Jimmy G's not starting anymore. Kittle is hurt. I don't know if he's playing or not, but he's been hurt.
He's been on the IR a couple weeks.
Yeah, so he's been hurt. And, I just see the Colts winning.
Pat, I got to tell you, I was kind of leaning Colts, but I'm going to let you sway me here for the sake of argument. I'm just going to go with the 49ers. Playing at home, you're coming off a bye week. I don't know if it's going to be Jimmy. I don't know if it's going to be Trey Lance, but I think at home off a bye, you have so long to game plan for this. Hopefully your team is a little bit healthier than this Colts roster at this point. So I'm going to rock with the 49ers there. Not quite the Sunday night football game I was hoping for, Pat. You're not going to feel too bad going to sleep and not being able to catch the second half.
No, I'll sleep well. I'll be all right missing it.
And I'm going to say the same thing about our Monday night matchup. We got the Saints visiting the Seahawks, man, and Saints are coming off a bye. I'm going to pick them for that reason alone, not to mention that Geno Smith is quarterbacking the Seattle Seahawks. I'm definitely rocking with the Saints.
Yeah, it's just tough with the Saints. Like their receivers are Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway Callaway.
Yep.
And I know Jameis can sling the ball, but besides Kamara, like there's just not much there. It depends how they use Taysom Hill too. I'll go with the Saints. I'll still go with the Saints. It just because of Russell Wilson being out. I think if Russell Wilson was in the game, I would definitely pick the Seahawks, but for that reason alone, I'll take the Saints.
I agree with you. My determining factor here is Geno Smith. I'm not going to pick a team quarterback by Geno Smith to win a football game right now. I simply can't do it. It's also in prime time. Primetime Jameis feels like 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, if you ask me.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to be in business. I'm excited for it. I am.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun watching those highlights because I can't promise I'm watching that game.
Yeah,
but I will watch that.
100%.
Now, Pat, that wraps it up for the NFL. So we're going to get on to what we've learned. But as always, got to get a little add in from Book Thinkers. So if you read personal development books, you got to check out Book Thinkers, which is a company dedicated to helping you fulfill your life through books. Every single day on Instagram and every week on their podcast, this team over at Book Thinkers is helping you discover new books and new mentors that you can use to achieve more and live better. The right book and reading it at the right time can absolutely change your life. So please find out more by checking out bookthinkers.com or going over to Instagram and searching Book Thinkers. Now, Pat, tell me what you learned this week.
So after that Bills-Titans game, I, of course, naturally this morning wanted to check the NFL power rankings, and I go by NFL.com. And I look and I see, so these are the rankings. The Cardinals are 1. So all right. So I'll go by the teams. I'm not sure how I should do this. You know what? I think this is what I think the power rankings will be. Cardinals 1, Ravens 2, Bills 3, Bucks 4, and then Rams 5. I'll tell you what they are. Actually, the Cardinals are 1. This is what they are. Yeah, that's what they are now. And that's the only justified ranking. So they're the number 1 spot. I think they should be the number 1 spot. They haven't lost. They're 6-0. They beat the Rams. I mean, they just demolished the Browns in Cleveland. So that's a shoo-in.
Those poor Texans coming up, huh?
Yeah, honestly. And the Bills were still 2 after their loss. They were 1. So the Cardinals took their spot and landed at number 1. The Bills were 1, dropped to 2 after that loss to the Titans. And I know it was a 3-point loss, but Tennessee hadn't looked so good. And even after blowing it, they still were only number 2. And my biggest reason for that too is that I would have the Ravens at number 2 because what have they done? They've done nothing but win since week 1. They had that tough loss to the Raiders to open the season. They should be 6-0. They're 5-1. I'll take it, but they've just been hotter than the Bills. They haven't lost. So I don't know why the Ravens aren't higher on this list. The Ravens are 5 right now. Honestly, just some disrespect. Their competition has been second to none, just demolished the Chargers at home. So the Ravens should be 2, but they're 5. And then the Bills should be 3 right under the Ravens. So not too far of a drop, but from 1 to 3, I think that loss pretty much does it. The Cardinals haven't lost. Ravens haven't lost besides week 1. And then the Bucks are 3, but I would actually, they've had a couple shaky weeks in a row. Patriots and Eagles too, underperforming teams. And the fact that they're the 3 still above the Ravens is just disrespect to me. I would have the Bucks. I would have the Bucks at 4 after those 2 shaky wins. I mean, they didn't lose, but they are shaky. And then the Rams are 7. I would put the Rams at 5. I couldn't believe it. The Cowboys were above them. The Packers were above them. Granted, both those teams are playing well, but the Rams' only loss was to the number 1 team, the 6-0 Cardinals. So I would put Rams at 5, definitely move them up from that 7 spot. So what I've learned is that those would be my power rankings after week 6.
Yeah, man. And that those power rankings are just way off on NFL.com and ESPN, dude. They're all putting some out, and it's like, okay, but what about Lamar being the current MVP of the league, beating the toughest competition in football so far, and doing it in prime time week after week, man? I mean, Mina Kimes said it on ESPN today. How far can we move the goalpost for Lamar Jackson? When are we just going to start saying he's incredible, they're doing amazing, and they're right at the top where they should be? Like, we just keep putting higher and higher expectations on Lamar and the Ravens, man. And it's like, give credit where credit's due. Watch Mark Andrews dominate. Watch any of these 3 running backs dominate. Like, give the Ravens some respect.
It seems hard for Lamar to earn respect for some reason. Like, no matter what he does, people always try to diminish his accomplishments, and I don't get it. You know, they'll always say, oh, well, what about this? What about this? But it just means he's good. He's got a lot of haters.
I agree, man. And Pat, I said I wouldn't rant too much more about the Patriots, but I even got to take
I do need to hear this one.
I even got to take the blue light off of this so I can stare directly into the camera and talk to Bill Belichick with some crazy eyes. No, man. I mean, what I learned this week, and I hate saying this, but I'm not saying it with certainty, but Bill Belichick might legitimately be holding the Patriots back right now. Might legitimately be holding Mac Jones back right now in McDaniels and this offense, because the defense has been good enough. They haven't been great, but Bill Belichick, you trade Stephon Gilmore back instead of just letting him ride out the year. We don't get much back. There's so many injuries that haven't been filled. And then some of the decision making has just been absolutely mind boggling. And if we were 12-2 like we normally are, you say, okay, yeah, Bill, kneel the ball at halftime, do whatever you want. But when you're 2-3 with a chance to have a statement win against one of the best teams in the league in the Dallas Cowboys, and you take 3 knees with 1.5 minutes and put no confidence in your quarterback, against the Bucks on a rainy Sunday night when you could have beaten them, and you put it in Nick Folk instead, I think that Bill Belichick might legitimately be holding this Patriots team back. And that's what I've learned this week. And Pat, that feels so sacrilegious to say. That feels so wrong to say.
What he's done.
Like, Bill's the greatest NFL coach of all time, and it's not close. I don't care that Don Shula has more records. No one touches Bill Belichick as an NFL coach all time. It's not even close.
It's hard to beat the Super Bowl titles. It's hard to argue with.
I mean, dude, I got to tell you, this is just so tough as a Pats fan. It's so frustrating. And to feel like our offense is being held back, to feel the defense isn't being held back, but offense being held back when you have such a great young quarterback like Mac Jones. We were in this game and had 230 less yards than the Cowboys. Why not give us a chance to go have 60, 70 more yards, Bill? We need to win games. And I'm sorry, but this is not a transition year. You spent $160 million in the offseason. This is not a transition year. We need to be winning games, and we need to be winning games now. And I'll be damned if Bill Belichick holds us back, man. I mean, that'll be the story of the year for the Patriots if that's what happens. Something's got to change, Pat. I don't know if it will, but something's got to change in New England right now.
Yeah, and we're not by any means calling for him to be fired. But honestly, I think he's kind of like, he's such an enigma at this point. He's just almost like unfireable, untouchable.
Yeah.
You don't picture him going anywhere else. And it's like what he says goes. And I think they will right the ship because, like you said, it's the 1 possession losses. You know, it is critical coaching decisions maybe, but yeah, they should be, you're right. They should be performing better than they are. And yeah, he will have to answer for it somehow.
Yeah. Bill Belichick is too big to fail. I do believe that. But like you said, he's got to answer for it at a point. Because guess what? There were excuses last season. There's no excuses this season. You're 1 play away from winning 3 of your first 6 games, and you can't get it done. And you spend more money than you've ever spent in the offseason prior. You have the talent, you have the weapons, and you have the quarterback. If you didn't have the quarterback, it'd be a different story. If Cam Newton was there, Mac Jones looks really good, Pat. He looks really
that's the guy they
good.
wanted. They went out, got the guy they wanted, slotted him in the starting position, got rid of the competition, and he's playing well.
I'm throwing my hands up, man. I don't know what to do. Yeah. I don't know what to do, man.
Maybe that's where we end it. We're just with our hands up in the air. Well, the Patriots fans' hands up in the air.
Oh, man, it is tough, but that's what I learned this week.
I'll do it for the injuries. We just lost Ronnie Stanley for the year, so he's having season-ending surgery. Shout out to Ronnie Stanley, but I'll do it with you, but for a different reason. Throw my arms up.
I appreciate the camaraderie, Pat, and with that ends episode 43. We hope everyone enjoyed this one. Pat, how you feeling, man? We feeling good to wrap this one up?
Yeah, we're good. We had a lot going on. It was good to get into NBA. Good. It feels so quick that we're already back at the NBA season, but I don't know. It feels really weird to be talking NBA again, but I love it.
I was thinking that. I'm like, man, we're back at the NBA, and I feel like we just started doing NFL again. We just did our NFL Week 7 preview, which feels really weird to me. Like, we're flying through, man. Episode 43 already.
Yes, that's Troy Polamalu.
We are moving and grooving, Pat, but that wraps up episode 43. So as always, we appreciate everyone out there listening. Hopefully you made it to this point in the podcast, an hour 15 in or whatever. We appreciate every listen, every like, subscription, comment, all that good stuff. I say it all the time. Press any button you can on any social media. It'll help us at some point, but thank you for spending this time with us, and we do not take your attention or your time for granted. So thank you to all the Right Off the Bus listeners out there. That's episode 43, man. Peace.
See you guys.
You are listening to Right Off the Bus.